Center for Innovation and Agripreneurship, myself, Dr. Ahalya, and I'm delighted to engage with such a dynamic audience today. So, before going to the session, let me give a short introduction about our center. So, since October 2020, this flagship knowledge platform has delivered 276 uninterrupted weekly webinars, driving capacity building, innovation diffusion, and entrepreneurship movement across India's agri sectors. So this year also marks 6 impactful years of Manacia championing agripreneurship, innovation ecosystems, and entrepreneurship acceleration in India's agriculture. So to date, our reach has connected with more than 50,000 participants, featuring insights from more than 500 expert speakers, ecosystem leaders, and industry practitioners who have catalyzed transformation across agricultural value chains. So Manacia has emerged as a launchpad for agri-innovators, empowering over 1,100 entrepreneurs to convert their ideas into scalable ventures. And also, we are proud to have incubated 562 startups spanning diverse agriculture sectors, strengthening India's agri-innovation landscape. At Manacia, we adopt a human-centric, ecosystem-driven approach to the entrepreneurship development. We recognize that every founder brings not just a business model, but a purpose-driven vision to uplift farming communities, enhance livelihood, and contribute to the sustainable food systems. So we are offering expert guidance and specialized training in crucial areas such as agro-processing, post-harvest technologies, value addition, farm mechanization, animal husbandry, fisheries, dairy, commodity trading, supply chain management, and agri-consultancy, ensuring that our entrepreneurs are equipped to tackle every challenge in their journey. In today's session, we are going to focus on a theme called urban agriculture, the future of food scaling indoor farming for urban sustainability. And it is privileged to introduce our resource persons for today's session. To begin, I would like to invite our managed intern, Bharat, to introduce our first speaker.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Good morning, everyone. This is Bharat Kumar Sevri from Team Manage CIA. It is my speaker for today, Mr. Gaurav Naran, Executive Chair of City Green Group and a well-known leader in a sustainable entrepreneurship and technology. An alumnus of IIM Calcutta, Mr. Naran began his professional journey in the healthcare sector, where his efforts to improve existing specialty medicines led to the successful acquisition of his venture by Portia Medical. His later founded City Green and Agritech enterprises focus on climate resilient food production through greenhouse, polyhouse, and indoor farming system. In addition to his entrepreneur work, he served as a board member at IIIT Sonipat and as an investment committee member at the AIDEA NAM, support the growth of agriculture startup. He is also a best-selling author and a regular guest faculty at leading institutes, including IIMs and other top business schools. Today, he will be sharing his insights on the future of food scaling indoor farming for the urban sustainability. Please join me in warmly welcome Mr. Gaurav Naran. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Bharat. Thank you, everyone. First of all, I'll say it's a great honor to be with you guys, and thank you, Manage 277. It's really unbelievable and it's awesome. That means since last 5 years, you are not missing any weekend, and you are ensuring that knowledge is being disseminated to people, which is amazing. So let me just share my screen to start. Meanwhile, I'll just give you a very brief background. I started this business around 9 years ago. So within 9 years, we have been, and I'm not from the farming background. I did not have any knowledge in agriculture. It was through players like Manage, AIDEA, other people in the ecosystem who helped us understand what farming is. And we learned things by doing things ourselves, by doing farming ourselves. And within 9 years, we have been able to move from India, and now we are based in not only in India, but also in UK and UAE. And we have always focused on the urban farming. So I'll give you a brief perspective in next 15 to 20 minutes about how I have seen the ecosystem to grow. I came in as an outsider, understood the ecosystem, tried to navigate the different challenges. And then what is my current understanding, that is what I will share with you. Having said that, it's evolving, business is dynamic, nature is dynamic, and things will keep on moving. But what I have understood, I'll try to share that with you. I hope my screen is visible to you, and with that, I'll just start moving.
Sir, can you please make it, can you zoom it? Actually, the slides are not that much visible. Can you zoom the slides or keep it in slideshow mode?
Is it okay?
Yeah. Okay, sir. Okay, fine.
Fine. Okay. See, so when we talk about urban sustainability in the food system for urban, why do we need a different kind of food system for urban? What's wrong with the current food system? See, there are multiple things. If you look at the first thing, the population growth in urban areas is very, very high. Most of the people from villages, youth, they generally don't want to get into agriculture or do the traditional business. They would want to move towards urban areas, whether it's becoming a delivery boy, whether it's taking any small job, or whether it's taking a big job or studying and then taking jobs. The pressure on urban areas is very, very high, which means if there are more people, then they need more food. That is number one, which is leading to the high demand of food in the urban areas. The second part of the problem is, if we look at the traditional supply chains, traditionally the way agriculture has evolved is there are different specialized zones or belts. For example, onion will come from a particular belt, oranges will come from a particular belt, sugarcane will grow in a particular belt. But all of these produce, which is grown in a particular area, it will now then travel to the different urban areas. But with the climate uncertainty, there is a wide price fluctuation in this. For example, whenever there is heavy rain, you will see that the price of commodities or vegetables in Chennai increases, because due to humid climate, a lot of vegetables are not grown in Chennai. They are not able to grow as much as is needed in the region, and the supplies come from outside. But during heavy rains, the supply gets disrupted, the price increases. And most of the farming in India happens in open field, again due to uncertain climate, uncertain weather. If the produce in the open field gets impacted, again the price fluctuations happen. Then the other problem in urban areas is, you always have to decide whether you want to use the land for allowing more people to build houses and live, or to do agriculture. And the way agriculture is done in India, and mostly in open field, the productivity per square feet or the output per square feet is very less. And though India is a very large country and we have a lot of agriculture land, so the volume can accommodate for it. But if you look at a very specific geography, let's say you look at only a very small urban area, in that area you will not have enough land to grow food. You won't have enough land to grow food in Mumbai. You won't have enough land to grow food in Bangalore, because the value of land will be very high in other areas as compared to growing food. So due to all these kind of constraints, it's slightly different for urban areas as compared to rural areas or semi-urban areas, when it comes to how the food system or the food supply system should evolve for them. And this is the understanding with which we also had decided to get into this venture around 9 years ago. Now, why then indoor farming makes sense? The indoor, and when I say indoor farming, I look at it not only as vertical farms, I look at it as poly houses, vertical farms, mushroom farming, or any other kind of farming which is done inside a structure and not in the open field. There are multiple reasons it's help. One is it uses less water. Again, another big problem in urban areas is the amount of water usage. Uh, you have very limited amount of water, and it can either be routed to people for drinking or for sanitation needs, or it can be routed from agriculture. The total amount of water does not change. Now, from that, allocation will change. And the way agriculture is done by doing flood farming is something which is very, very less water. I would say where the utilization of water is not really good, because most of the water will go underground and seep through the soil. Practices like drip irrigation are good. Practices like urban farming are good, where water is recirculated. In fact, we are living in a luxurious situation in India where we don't really pay for water. But if you look at the most of the developed world, and India at some point in time will move towards that, where water is rationed for agriculture, and you need to pay for water when you are using it for agriculture, so that when you are setting up an agriculture farm or agriculture system or irrigation system, you are sure to make sure that you want to use less water, and you are incentivized to be more efficient. So that's one advantage of urban farming, which is very relevant, because the water which is saved can be used for other purpose. The second advantage is, it says zero pesticide, but I would say it uses less pesticide. Zero pesticide is basically a misnomer. It's really very difficult unless you are in a complete indoor vertical farm and you are also taking care of airflow. But it uses much less pesticide as compared to what you will do when you are growing in open area where the pest population is much higher. The third benefit is productivity is higher, and that is where I told about productivity per square feet. So there are two things here. One is volume and other is efficiency. If I have, let's say, 1 lakh square feet, and even if I'm growing 1 kg per square feet, I can grow 1 lakh kgs. But again, per square feet, I'm only growing 1 kg. But in urban environment, if I'm using precise efficiency techniques, and even if I have, let's say, 20,000 square feet, which is 1/5 of what we talked about in the first example. But if my productivity is, let's say, 6x, I'm growing 6 kg per square feet, we will be able to grow 20% more by using around 80% less area. So these are the kind of advantages which happen with urban farming, and the most important is the food is grown near the place of consumption. So there are less food miles, less carbon footprint, and the nutritional value of food is high because the time from harvest to shelf is reduced. Instead of food coming to the shelf in 5 days, it can come in 1 or 2 days. And then when you are consuming it, the nutritional value will be much higher as compared to if you consume it later. But the problem with urban farming is currently it's very difficult to scale it. Or let me correct myself. Around 8-9 years ago, when we started, it was extremely difficult to scale it. The failure rate was going around 60 to 70%. Now it has reduced. Now the scaling is little easy, but still we are seeing around 30 to 40% failure rate in urban farms. And the major reasons for that are, number one, and when I'm talking about this region, it's a global region, energy cost. If we are cutting out sun, and if we are growing in totally indoor environment using LED lights, a lot of cost goes towards providing electricity. And that's one reason where mostly it's very difficult to sustain an urban farm at current cost structures. And it's not only in India, it's anywhere in the world. If you talk about vertical farms using LED lights, all around the world, they are facing a lot of problem because of the energy cost. However, if you move the gamut towards poly houses where we are using natural sunlight, which are still indoor, they are profitable. There the failure rate is very, very less because don't have that high kind of energy cost, which is there in the urban farm where you are using indoor vertical lights. The other problem is skill gap. Uh, Soil is very accommodative. It's very easy to grow in soil. I would say in that way. For example, if you're making a mistake, let's say you are not giving irrigation for 2 days, that's okay. You can give it on the third day. But in urban farming, for example, let's say if we are growing in air, and it's a technique called aeroponics, where roots are in air. If you've missed the irrigation even for 5 or 6 hours, there's a failure in the system. The entire crop can go. Then there are multiple parameters. They sound very scary: EC, pH, TDS. There are a lot of such parameters, but they are not very difficult to understand. But the problem is, to understand that, you need a skilled grower. For someone who has not understood these parameters, it might look like rocket science to them. They might be dependent upon other skilled growers, and a skilled resource is always costly. Now, again, in India, the land holdings are very small and project sizes are small. But a cost of a skilled resource when you are using such a small project size may not be amortized, may not be really worthwhile on a small area, which becomes a big gap when we talk about scaling of urban farms and the sustainability of them. So these are two big challenges. Apart from that, to increase the operations at scale, that becomes a challenge, because most of the entrepreneurs who come into it, and we work with a lot of entrepreneurs, initially they try to enter at a trial stage with a very small size, and most often that small size itself is not sufficient to generate enough income to give them the sufficient confidence to move to the next stage. Because a very small area, let's say you are doing it in a quarter acre versus doing a 1 acre, the cost dynamics will completely change. If you can recover your money in 1 acre in 3 years, The moment you move it to quarter acre, it will take 6 years. And when you say my money is coming back in 6 years, you would not have enough courage to move to the next stage. So that is another challenge which is there in scaling of urban farming. Now, what we are doing is, and this approach has evolved over many years, is one is we are looking at automation. We are saying that we have to reduce the cost of skill grower. We have to reduce human errors. We have to reduce the challenges which come because of the lack of knowledge. So we have to use a lot of machines where we can, and we have to use the intelligence which is local to the farm. So instead of looking at satellite data, we install different kind of sensors within the farm so that we know exactly what is happening in the farm. And then we use the automation system which has a decision making algorithm which looks at these parameters, and then it decides how to run the farm. So which also in a way reduces the list of the need of a very highly skilled resource. We still need a skilled resource because you still cannot take the grower away from the system. You still need a person who understands farming, who understands crops, but you don't need the technical knowledge of the EC, pH, and these kind of parameters. All those load can be taken care of by the system itself, which reduces the cost. And then we bring in visibility. You don't need to be at your farm. You don't need to visit your farm everywhere. For example, you can even be outside India in a different continent, and you can still know what is happening in your farm in a different location. So these are the kind of approaches that we have come to understand are something which will help in scaling urban farms. And that's where we have standardizing different kind of modules for different crops. We are creating recipes which can itself run the farm depending on the kind of crop that we are growing. Remote monitoring is a very key part to it, and when you keep doing it again and again like we are doing with all this data, it becomes easy to predict what is going to happen. It becomes easy to predict, saying in this particular kind of weather, in this location, this is the amount of yield that should happen or what we should get. So this is something which we have understood as an approach. The other thing that I would say about where we are currently and where I see the future of food, uh, generally when we talk about food, I don't think indoor farming or urban farming is going to replace open field farming. I think that would be daydreaming for at least next 15 to 20 years, if not more than that. But I think what is going to happen is there will be different segments which will coexist. Most of the grains, most of the pulses, or most of the things which are needed for mass consumption, like wheat, rices, pulses, they will continue to be grown in the fields. What happens there is you can grow them and then you can store it. You can dry it and store it. And then you can use it during the off season. It can come from the cold storage. These things will continue in the open field. Now, most of the vegetables and perishables, where storage is difficult or where you need to have a canned food or add chemicals to store, most of these will start moving towards polyhouse farming, and that is already happening that we are seeing. And this is something which will be a part of urban farming clusters or urban farming areas where city greens is also involved. And due to a lot of climate change, which will be a very big trigger, I see that most of vegetable farming will continue to move towards polyhouses. And this is something which is also happened in the developed world. If you look at US, you look at Netherlands, you look at UK, you look at most of the developed world, most of tomatoes, capsicum, cucumbers, the beans, even for that matter, okra, eggplant, all of them are now mostly grown in polyhouses, because in that area you can contain the environment, you can increase the productivity per square feet, you can monitor everything, and it can work semi like a factory where you know this is the input and that will be the output, which is something which is very difficult to predict in the open field. So the polyhouses will grow at a much rapid rate. And the third part of indoor vertical farms where we are not using sunlight, this will only, for now, at least for next 5 years to 10 years, I see this will only happen in very specialized cases. For example, mushrooms is one where it will continue to happen, but mushroom does not need a lot of light. Apart from that, leafy greens, exotic greens, which are not grown in the country, they will move towards that. And apart from that, there will be very specialist cases. For example, microgreens. For example, hotels which need fresh produce or which needs raw vegetables, which goes into salad where people are consuming it raw. Or hotels and restaurants and cafe, horeca, the segment that we call it. Most of the indoor farming will be directly used towards those kind of customers, rather than being grown for customers who are directly consuming as a B2C consumer. So this is the way I see the market is evolving currently and how it will evolve going forward. Having said that, another 8 to 10 years, 15, 20 years down the line, as more and more climate change happens, as it becomes more and more difficult to grow food in the open field, a lot of and as food prices keep on going up, and LED and energy prices will keep on going down. When I say LED prices, they are already coming down. When I say energy prices, the major driver of bringing them down will be switching to renewable resources. For example, using a solar system, not building just an indoor farm, building an indoor farm with a solar system where energy can come from solar or energy can come from another renewable source. So with that, the price equations will come in control, and that is where indoor farms will grow more, or indoor farms with LED lights will grow more than what we are today. And I see all of these ecosystem will coexist. The way I see future growing is depicted on this image, where we will have large fields. Most of grains will be grown in the large fields. Most of vegetable farming will move in poly houses or grow houses kind of structure. And most of the small crops where space utilization is a problem, at least for the cities, at least for the urban areas, it will move indoor. There will be a lot of small entrepreneurs, micro entrepreneurs who will come together, who will set up small units and start growing these small in these small units. A lot of produce in 1 square feet, they will probably grow 20x of what is grown in the open field. And this will also create opportunity for a lot of players who can then come together and become an ecosystem player, who can grow, who can get produce from these different people, put them in one brand and help them get the better price, which I think is already something which many people are doing. And I think our next speaker is also doing that, and he'll talk about that. So with this, I will take a pause now. And I think in the end, if there are any questions, I'll be happy to take those. Thank you for your time, and thank you for listening to me.
Yeah, thank you, Gaurav, sir, for the forward-looking session on the future of food scaling indoor farming for urban sustainability. And then you are clearly explained the urban food challenge, highlighting the issues such as rapid urbanization and the climate uncertainty, long supply chains and resource constraints. And your session gave us a complete why farming is critical for cities, especially with the benefits like 90 to 95% of water savings and zero pesticide use, higher productivity, and near zero food miles. And your discussions on the especially the and the city green approach with automation, first forms, and sensor driven intelligence was really inspirational. So your vision of the future of food where open field farming and protected cultivation and indoor vertical farms coexist was truly inspiring. Thank you once again for sharing your expertise with us. So the participants, if you have any questions regarding this session, you can keep in chat box, and also you can raise your hands. So the questions will be taken up after the second speaker presentation. So Gaurav sir, kindly wait. We can have discussion at the end of the session. So now to invite our second speaker, I would like to call our managed intern Subhashini.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I'm Subhashni from Team Manage CAA. It's my honor to welcome our second speaker, Mr. Tanveer Ahmed, who is a dynamic agripreneur and agri-tech innovator with extensive experience in hydroponics, vertical farming, and sustainable urban agriculture. As a founder and chief executive officer of Uptown Urban Farms Private Limited, he is the forefront of redefining food production systems to control environment agriculture and hyperlocal farming models tailored for urban and peri-urban spaces. Mr. Tanveer has been widely recognized for his contributions to sustainable agriculture and innovation, including being awarded the Kerala State Award for the Best High-Tech Farmer. His work focuses on promoting hydroponics as a viable solution for urban food security, reducing supply chain gaps, and encouraging youth and entrepreneurs to adopt technology-driven farming practices. With this short introduction, I would like to hand over the session to Mr. Tanveer. Over to you, sir.
I would like to share the screen. Thank you. Am I visible?
Yes, sir, visible.
Okay, good. So I'm gonna briefly introduce myself. So myself, Tanvi. So I'm the founder for this company, Uptown Urban Farms, and we've been into hydroponics and vertical farming business for the last 7 years. and we are based in Kerala right now, and we service like parts of Kerala, like most of Kerala, and southern parts of Tamil
Sir,
Nadu as
can
well.
you zoom it little bit?
Yeah, sure. 1 second.
No, no.
Um, is it
Yeah, this is
visible now?
yeah, fine, sir, fine.
Okay. So, 1 sec. Okay. Cool. So we've been doing that. So I started this company just to understand, like back in 2018 when I started this company, I wanted to understand, like just like Gaurav was telling, like 6 to 7 years back, it was a totally different scenario in hydroponics, and people were just experimenting with vertical farming, indoor farming, and all those stuff. And it was pretty much very difficult to get a foothold in the market. And I wanted to try out like what is inhibiting the market back then. And I tried out a very small farm back in 2018, and I started selling the produce in local supermarkets and wanted to know how the customers or the businesses or the B2Bs, how they perceive these producers. And to my fair understanding, like people wanted to have a get their hands on fresher produce, like not we were always taught about the statement that like people in India are always strictly gonna adhere to like they're very price sensitive and not very quality sensitive. But uh, to my fair understanding, it was a mix of both. If they could get their hands on better quality produce at a slightly premium price, also they would be happy to take it. And that's when I started this brand called Highleaf, where we started selling produce from our farm and to customers nearby. And today, right now in 2026, we have around 17 farms throughout Kerala, and two in Tamil Nadu, like they are vendor farms, and other 17 farms that are being operated by us. And we service to almost 4 cities in Kerala and parts of Tamil Nadu as well. So, so where is hydroponics and vertical farming in India going to? Because I'm going to agree to almost all the things that Gaurav said right now. I'm not going to repeat all that. Like this, to my fair understanding, this is going to be the future, because like all the things that he also said, like the population is rising, cities are growing at a very rapid rate. Like if you're gonna talk about my place back here in Kerala, it is completely becoming one single city, and it's not like one state and multiple different cities here. Like it's becoming a complete individual city right now, and this is happening in every other state. Maybe if you talk about Tamil Nadu, Bangalore, Karnataka, Telangana, everywhere it's becoming completely cities, and the population um, are moving into cities and making the peri-urban and peri-urban areas into cities as well. So the population is hugely rising, and the demand for fresh produce is already on the rise. And there is not much resources to grow all these to feed all these people, all this growing population. So there's not enough fresh water, there is not enough good climate to grow. Like the best climates to grow all these vegetables are like split across different parts of India. And there comes a necessity where like we'll have to start growing in every different cities. Like if we gonna talk about Maharashtra or Karnataka or Tamil Nadu, we'll have to start growing to feed the entire population or the entire supply chain, and irrespective of the climate. And that's where hydroponics or vertical farming or polyhouse farming, whatever I call it, comes into play. And people also started understanding what hydroponics is. Like I do take classes for a lot of people, and like the customers are becoming more and aware of what all these different farming methods is, how it's uh, more better than the normal traditional. Like I am not going to judge between traditional farming and vertical farming as well, but each has its own upsides and downsides as well. So what is the difference between modern and traditional farming? So we face all the soil health issues, water use issues, like the labor issues are there, technology issues are there, scalability and environmental issues are there, and these are very prevalent in India as well. So that is why modern farming or vertical farming is gonna be the future. Like we use like very less water. There was saying like we use like 95% less water in vertical farming. That's very true. And we need very less land to grow the same amount of vegetables. Like traditional farming, if we are gonna grow 1 kg, like I'm saying, just saying rough numbers, like we are gonna grow 1 kg per like square feet. We can do 5 times more than that in traditional vertical farming or hydroponics or polyhouse farming. And we need much less labor to control all these farms, just because like most of the things can be automated, where technology can be utilized to run these farms in a very efficient manner. So we have a 12,000 square feet farm where we produce in Trivandrum right now, where I'm sitting right now, and it grows around 800 to 800 kgs of produce per month. And we have just 2 laborers to run the entire farm, and everything other than that is automated. So compared to a traditional farm where we'll have to grow 1,000 kgs of produce, like we'll need at least 4 to 5 laborers to manage the entire farm. And the use of technology facilitates that, and we have our own prediction, and all these things can be incorporated into farming, so that the farm owner or the grower can get active data into what is being grown. We'll have very good predictability. The farm owner or the grower knows, like after 40 days we're gonna get 800 kilograms of produce after the end of 40 days. So that is a kind of predictability that we get in smart farming. And if I'm going to talk about the scalability, like he said, it's pretty much difficult to scale hydroponic farms, but not as difficult as it was in like back 6 to 7 years. But right now, I see lots of hydroponic or vertical farms coming up in different parts of Kerala, like small, medium, large scale farms, different parts coming up in different parts of India and in UAE and different countries. And to my understanding, what I am right now doing is like populating all these hydroponic or vertical farms or indoor farms and bringing them together, so that everyone can identify like what is being sold in the market, what is the market demand. I can give them better understanding of what is required in the market. I can assist all these farmers to grow what is required in the market. So I'm right now doing an end-to-end solution, like from farming to sales to actual customers. When I'm doing that, I personally know, like our company knows all the demand. Like if I'm gonna take an example of a city like Cochin or Trivandrum, I know how much kg of produce of a single SKU is required in Kerala or in Cochin, and I can instruct all the nearby farmers to grow the exact produce. And what we have always heard is there's a like 30 to 40% post-harvest loss that's happening in traditional farming. And with all these technologies in place and the predictability and the demand-driven predictability in place, I can almost bring that down to like less than 10%. So that is exactly what I am doing right now, and all the farms that are working under my ecosystem has a less than 10% post-harvest loss, because like they grow exactly what is required in the market, and I instruct all these farms to grow what exactly is needed in the market. That kind of predictability is being brought in by all these technological innovative farming models like vertical farming and all those stuff. And talking about the scenario in India, India needs to grow more on less land and less water inside cities. Like our population is rising, like I already said, the post-harvest loss, and there are very good geographical limitations to grow in India, like if you are going to do with normal traditional farming. So it's going to be the future. Like we different farm owners and different farming companies, smart farming companies, need to figure out ecosystems to bring together all these smart farmers together in place. Like what I see is like in the next 5 to 6 years, like Gaurav said, like maybe we can onboard and bring in all the farmers, different farmers, like different smart farmers, indoor growers, and everyone on board. And make a unified system for all those farmers, like just like I'm doing in Kerala right now, and make each of these farmers successful, and like they can grow to their full capacity, they can earn a pretty good income that they were expecting out of the farm. And one thing that we usually heard about traditional farming is like there is a lot of middlemen in between the farmers and the end consumer. In If we are going to do a single system of hydroponic farms and ecosystem, I actually don't have any kind of middleman between my farms and my customer. The only channel through which it goes is through our company, where we procure from all these farms, we sell it to our produce. Like we have our own SOPs where all the farms have a standard protocol of operating. We use the same kind of nutrients, we use the same kind of growing techniques, we use the same kind of automation systems, and we have a dashboard where I can literally see all the farms throughout, like that's operating under me, or what the climate is there, what the produce in each table is here, what is being ready to harvest in the next week, the next month. So that gives us a very good insight into the market as well as the grower. So if you're going to ask me if this is like vertical farming or indoor farming is the future, it can be the future. It can be the future in like 5 to 10 years down the line. Most of the other countries, like is in UK right now, like he can see all the things happening there. There was a time when, like 5 to 6 years back in UK, where most indoor farming companies, like there were a lot of indoor farming companies went bankrupt in the recent times. That is because of their operational failures and very high recurring or operational costs and energy consumption costs actually. So and every technology comes to India after a few years, like whatever happens outside India happens like 3 to 4 years down the line in India. And we have a very strong upside, like where we can learn from the mistakes that's being done by the forerunners. So we personally you guys can also go up and see how all these indoor farming or vertical farming companies outside India failed. Like so many companies, I can give you names like Ingrow failed. There's a company called Ingrow. There's so many companies are there, plenty. They are all run by very big companies, like very big founders. Like we can learn from them what the mistakes they were doing, like what the operational mistakes that happened, what is the cost incurred, and we can implement a foolproof system that works exactly and tailor-made to Indian customers. And the use of technology in farming, like I already said, we have a lot of decision-making systems that can be implemented in place. Unlike traditional farming, like we can work out on data-driven farming, where we link the end consumer demand with the grower, so that each farmer, like a 1,000 square feet farmer in Cochin, knows exactly what to grow, because I already told him like, okay, next month we need this much quantity of lettuce. So I'm gonna tell him like, okay, grow this much of lettuce. I can show you the market for all this, and he grows exactly that's what is required in the market. So next month on the 40th day, he's gonna give me all this produce, and that's gonna go in the market, and like there's no wastage for him. So these all operational inefficiencies were there in the smart farming or vertical farming this thing. So these are the things that we are trying to solve here. And each different companies like City Greens, myself, and different other companies are working on different ends of this same thing to make sure that we achieve the same goal in maybe like the 5 to 10 years. And I'm not going to talk about any other thing like about the upsides of vertical farming or hydroponics and other. He explained it very clearly to you guys. So I was just telling about the business side and all the failures that happened, and how we need to learn from these failures and make a system that's foolproof and that can work better towards for the Indian market. Thank you. And it's 11:40. I'm going to stick to my timeline. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanvi sir, for the insightful explanation of hydroponics and vertical farming in India. And thanks for explaining what are the opportunities and the benefits of modern farming system, and explain how hydroponics and vertical farming can address challenges related to land, water, and productivity. And especially your discussion on the role of technology in agriculture helps us understanding how automation and controlled environments are reshaping the farming practices. Thank you once again for sharing your knowledge and inspiring us to explore modern and sustainable farming solutions. So the participants, if you have any questions regarding these two sessions, you can keep in chat box, and also you can raise your hand. So the questions will be taken up now. Uh, Gaurav sir and Tanvir sir, kindly switch on your video. Now we can have the discussion. Uh, I'll take up the few questions which are already in the chat box. So there's a question from Srinivas. What is the most demanded hydroponic farm vegetables or leaves?
Tanvir, you would like to go first?
Okay, cool. Most demand always depends on the demographic, like where we are gonna sell the produce, like where the produce is being gone into the market. But there's a huge demand, like our post-COVID, post-pandemic season, like there's a huge demand in the market for like fresh greens actually. So people are trying to move from the normal method of eating to start eating more healthy vegetables to take care of their health. So lettuces, all these bok choys, lettuces are being like there's a huge market in the people are trying to adopt and try to switch to salads much. That's my understanding because I come from a place in Trivandrum. So this Trivandrum was a very down, maybe a medium market. Like people like were not so premium, but when I like 5 years into the business, I understood that like it's people are like completely evolved and like most of the produce, like most of the lettuces like that I keep in the stores, like that's being sold out the day itself. So I already also researched on the customer behavior also. So almost 40 to 50% of these producers are being taken up by the B2B businesses, and 50% of this are being taken by the individuals as well. We also grow all these microgreens and stuff, and people want to try out all these healthy greens and all these vegetables. So the demand is obviously rising. So there's no specific product that's being like has a good demand in the entire India, but it's very region specific. But all the leafy greens like lettuces, basils, bok choys, all this stuff goes well in the market. And over to you, Gaurav. What's your take on that?
Thank you. So, Tanvir and everyone, I would put it in two baskets. I would say when it comes to volume, what we have seen is vegetables are the major volume drivers. I'll give you an example. If you are living in cities, mostly you would have not found the local cucumber that you used to eat when you were a child. Mostly the cucumber that you eat now is the seedless cucumber, or European, or not European, English cucumber, which is grown in hydroponic. In fact, India is the largest exporter of cucumber now, and many of you don't even realize that you are having a hydroponic cucumber already. So when we talk about volumes, it's mostly vegetables, what I have seen. When we talk about profitability, it's in the leafy greens. And within leafy greens, the major driver of profitability is the seasonality. For example, for us, the most profitable product, you would be surprised, is spinach. Because spinach is not available in India entire year, and people eat a lot of spinach. If you look at your household last year, how many times you ate spinach versus you ate exotics, you would see that the consumption of spinach would be much higher. So for us, the largest profitability driver are leafy greens. Within leafy greens, volume wise, it's spinach. If I look at profitability per kg, it would be kale or rocket or lettuce, but then the demand is as less as compared to spinach. So that's where I think, and I would agree to Tanvir, that it depends upon the demography, and it also depends upon your market. For us,
Even
what we do is, right.
Even I started
So
with
for us,
spinach 2018, and the market was so high, but the profitability factor was
profitability,
yes.
right. But once you go to scale, you will realize that there is not enough demand for lettuce unless you change your market. For us, the market is these guys like Big Basket, Milk Basket, Zepto. We supply to all of these guys, and these guys mostly supply to B2C. And B2C are consumers like you and me who eat more spinach than lettuce. But if your market is the hotel segment, Horeca and all, then you can grow a lot of lettuce. So a lot of it also gets dependent upon the kind of market you have. So if you have made good contacts in the Horeca segment, definitely grow lettuce, grow exotics, you will have enough market. If you are dependent upon modern trade, if you are dependent upon B2C consumers, then you will have to grow what Indians eat, the Indian consumer. So that is my take on this.
Thank you.
Yeah. Dr. Miller questions, can we grow the leafy vegetables throughout the year through hydroponics?
Definitely, yes.
Yes.
So hydroponics allows you to turn it into a factory. Just like if you step into any McDonald's in the world, whether you are in India, whether you are in US, you will get the same taste, same bun size, same French fries. Similarly, what hydroponics or indoor farming allows you to do by using technology, it makes it into a factory. You are not longer dependent upon weather. You know that every year you will get the same kind of quality month on month.
Okay, sir. So, Vipin Sharma, how to maintain the sustainable agriculture with a zero use of chemicals?
And polyhouse farming or vertical farming, I think it's a very controlled environment, and it's less prone to diseases. It's not very. I'm not gonna say no that it's no diseases are gonna come into the polyhouse or the vertical farming, but we can control it to an extent, how hygienic we maintain the entire system, the proper maintenance of the units, proper maintenance of the channels, maybe the sanity inside the place, that can reduce your uh, disease prevention thing to a very good extent. And we personally don't use any kind of chemicals or pesticides in any of our farms, but we try to maintain the standard operating procedures where we keep all the people in a proper sanitized manner to enter the farm. And even then, when the climatic conditions change, so most of the diseases come through humidity, like the change in humidity and temperature and stuff. But we'll have to proactively do that. We'll have to monitor the plants. We use some kind of camera systems like in our farms, where we proactively monitor the leaves quality throughout the year. And that's how we manage. And maybe Saurav will have another this thing to do it. Over to you, Saurav. Gaurav, sorry.
No, no, no. So hygiene is definitely the key. See, a part of this is by design. Once we are into a system like hydroponic, where we are eliminating soil, a lot of soil-based pests get eliminated by design, because you don't have soil, so you don't have soil-based pests. That means the amount of pests or the number of pests that you will have to deal with in a hydroponic system will be less as compared to the pests that you will deal with in an open farming system. So you will have to use less pest control. Now, when we started, we initially thought we read a lot of YouTube, we saw a lot of YouTube videos, we read a lot of Google, we thought it's zero pesticide. Now, after doing it for 9 years, it's not zero pesticide. Because think of it, pest is a life form. What we are calling as a pest is just another life form, right? It also needs to survive. And even if we remove soil in hydroponic, we do not remove air. Air will still come, airborne pests will still come, you will have to control it. Now, for controlling that, you can choose to use a biocontrol, or you can choose to use a pesticide, or you can choose to use a chemical. It will be definitely less than what is being used in the outside field, but some amount of pest control will be required. That's the first part on the chemicals when people think about chemicals. The second part, which people ask often about chemicals, is in terms of nutrient. So these kind of techniques depends upon fertilizers. Now, I will not get into debate upon whether fertilizer is healthy or unhealthy or chemical or not chemical, because it will take another 2-3 hours if we talk about that. But these techniques use fertilizer, and for a plant, it does not differentiate between a fertilizer that's coming from which source. And this is healthy, and we consume it. And there's a lot of people who now understand it's healthy. If you look at most of the modern trade shelf, you will see that organic, hydroponic are kept in the same shelf. And worldwide, there is a big acceptance about this. There was also a question about if it is organic. And let me bell the cat. In India, it's not organic. But if you were in the US, it's organic. You are doing exactly same thing in India, which you are doing in US. But in US, hydroponic food is organic. In India, it is not. If I move you to Singapore and you are growing in a vertical indoor farm under LED lights, even that is organic. So organic definition changes from country to country, and it's a definition which comes based on the law. It is not based on how actually you are growing, what you and I perceive to be organic. So if your question is, can I get an organic certificate on hydroponic in India? No, you will not. If your question is hydroponic food healthy? Is it nutritious? The answer is yes. Worldwide, it has been accepted, and everyone is moving towards that. And like Tanvir said, going forward in next few years, this will be very heavily adopted in India, because this is what already has happened all over the world, and which will happen in India as well. So this is my take on the organic versus chemical debate on the hydroponic side.
Yes. So, and how much of is required for starting hydroponics?
That's a very interesting question. I can't say like this much space to start hydroponics. You can start in a small room at
Gaurav.
least. Like,
Yeah.
you can start in a small room or anywhere. Like there is no minimum space requirement to start hydroponics.
Yeah. And the one more place from Gaurav, what are you technical awareness?
Sorry, can you repeat the question? No, I did not.
Yeah. What are the major barriers? It's technology awareness.
So, in my mind, awareness is not a challenge anymore. Because if you are in a big city and if you open any of the retail apps, Instamart, Zomato, Swiggy, Big Basket, you will see there is already a hydroponic category. You don't need to create demand. And you will see that most of the time it's already sold out. Demand is very, very high. If you even go to modern trade, demand is very, very high. Awareness is not a challenge. Awareness is very high right now. Stability is very high right now. It's not a challenge at all. In fact, we have more than what we have much less than what we can supply. The demand is much higher. There are two challenges. One challenge is the high upfront cost. To set up a hydroponic farm, it takes a lot of capital investment, which a normal farmer generally does not have. So there are some benefits which come from the government in terms of subsidy, but those are very crop specific. They are only for three class of crops, and that's why you always see people setting up those kind of farms. But if you can solve for the capital investment part, then the second challenge is, as a grower or as a farmer, what Tanvir said he had to go through, what we had to go through initially. You are doing multiple things. You are setting up a farm, you are taking care of the plants, you are running the operations, you're also looking at marketing, you're also looking at packaging, you're also the logistics guy, you're also the guy who is taking care of waste, you're also the guy who is convincing everyone to buy your food. Now these 10 or 15 things cannot be done by one individual. That is where there's a piece of for a lot of players to come in. Someone like an aggregator, something which Tanvir is already doing. He has one farm of his own, but he buys from 14 farms. We started doing that. So what we do is, any farm which we are setting up, we buy back the produce from them, and we then, through our agreements with Big Basket, Milk Basket, we then place it in the market. So these are different kind of things that you will need to look at if you are thinking of scaling. Other thing which I will add is, economies of scale always play out. If you want to learn hydroponics, buy a small kit. Don't spend a lot of money. A 10 square feet, 5 square feet space, even a 2 square feet space is enough to do a small kit and learn hydroponics. If you have a terrace, 2,000 square feet, 5,000 square feet, please don't think of making a commercial business on hydroponic. The amount of money you will invest, it will take 10 years to recover it. Only think of hydroponics if you have a scale. Like 10 to 12,000 square feet, Tanvir can correct me, would itself not be sufficient for him to break even. He has to still go with 10 other farms to break even. So what I have seen for a leafy green, less than half acre, it's difficult. For vegetable crops less than 1 acre, it's difficult. I mean, the time gap is much higher. You will definitely start making money. See, once you have done a capital investment, once your farm is set up, after 3 to 4 months, you are getting your produce, so profit starts coming in. So you will be profitable in 3, 4, 6 months on a monthly level. But to recover the cost of investment, it will take a lot of time if your farm is small. So scalability there comes into play, and that becomes a question of how much money you can put in, because government support only comes for one particular kind of farming currently. This is, I think, the current challenge, and I would say government is working on that. There's a revised policy which came in last year, where government said that they will start now offering subsidy for hydroponics for leafy greens also. Having said that, there are many questions which are not clear, and the portal is not yet updated. So we are closely working with government in getting those things sorted. But those kind of supports are will start to come in for the leafy green side also, and that's good news for you, Tanvir.
Yeah, even I was also working with this, talking with the state government people here, and so they are giving out hydroponic subsidies, like very small, like 1.75 lakhs, like how much ever the space is, like if it's a 1 acre farm also, like that's a amount that they are putting in. So there's not a very clear standard this thing
So,
for
no,
it.
so Tanvir, this is going to be a 1 crore subsidy which government is bringing in, and it will start with leafy greens. The order is already passed. The implementation is pending.
And also, I wanted to add something to what you said, because no grow, like there is no smart, like no one can start a hydroponic business as such with 10,000 or 20,000 square feet, like you said. No one single person can be the grower and run the business. Like you can either be the grower, or either run the business. Otherwise, you will have to invest like that much amount of money. Like you will have to start at least a 50,000 to 1 lakh square feet farm and do the business all together. So I don't think a grower who wants to start his hydroponic business can start with such a scale of farm in the first place. So uh, my advice to people that who comes here for like starting hydroponic farms and business, like don't try to be the grower and the seller right now. Like try to be a grower first, try to understand the market and work with few aggregators or few business people, and then go to a scale. If you are able to go to a scale, then try out the business later. And so that's one kind of mistake like most of the people do. Like even if they have a 5,000 square feet farm, they try to run the entire chain from growing to selling, packing, logistics, everything. Even with just growing also, like 5,000 square feet, the business is going to be very hard. And kind of like think about like when they are going to do all these things in place, and like finally like 2 years down the line, like I haven't made a single penny out of hydroponics. Is that what they come out of? Like that's the takeaway. So either be a grower or a business person, or be the complete chain if you can run it at a scale. Like if you can start it at a very huge scale, like if people need a number, like more than an acre or something, at least for leafy greens, right? Do you have anything to say there?
I think someone hand alert person. Hello, Vas.
Yeah, good morning. I'm
Bios.
Narayan from Mentos Biosolutions, Hyderabad. I need some questions about the clarity on oxidation reduction potential, proton motin force, and yeast stress details. Sir.
Okay, so all of this will take a lot of time, I would say. Instead of getting into specific, I'll tell you what mostly these things do. These things are used to influence different factors. For example, when we talk about ORP, it's used to maintain the quality of water. If you would have seen NFT farms in India, most of these farms have closed end channels where you have end caps at the end, because algae formation is a very big problem in NFT. And what we do is we are kind of microbiota maintains balances there, and we want it to be on the positive side. But using ORP, what we can do is we can kill the entire microbiota, and we can keep oxidizing the all the life forms, which mean the algae is not there, the bad microbes are not there, even the good microbes are not there. And we did that for a farm in India, but again we found that it's extremely costly. If you do that, it's good because you can remove the end caps, you can bring the cost down, water can keep running like it happens in most of the American farms, but there's a cost to that. And if you add that cost on an operational level, then the profitability does not come. Similarly, when we talk about pressure, by controlling the air pressure, which can be done in a poly house, we can actually influence the rate of transpiration, which can improve the things. So which can improve the nutrient uptake, which can improve the size of the plants. So there are multiple such things. There are around, I would say, some 30 to 40 different parameters which can be controlled in control environment. What we do is we are already working on 22 of these parameters, and out of 22, we have realized that in India needs only 16 to 17, because the rest becomes very costly in India. If you want to know more about it, I am just pasting a link in the chat about a YouTube channel that we have, where we talk about these things, because this will take a lot of time to explain all of this. But in the end of these, all of these parameters are something which we can use. Think of it like driving a car, and you can have a four wheel, but you might not need a four wheel, on the roads you are driving. You can have a very high acceleration, you can have different kind of parameters, dual zone AC control. So there are multiple such parameters, each doing different thing. You might need some, you might not need some. So I'll keep it at
Yeah. Yeah, thank
So I think I can take up one more questions from Bharat AK. Good morning all. Thank you very much for the wonderful session. I am Bharat AK, currently working as an agronomist in a hydroponic startup in UAE. We are growing leaf greens, lettuce and basil. Though modern farming techniques look amazing, but how can the system help to improve the careers of agri graduates unless you are a farm owner?
Okay. Tanvir, you will want to go on this first?
No, you can start first.
Okay, great. So one challenge which I find in agriculture ecosystem in India, or agriculture education ecosystem in India, and I think manages here and they have to work on this, is hydroponics or these kind of urban techniques are taught at a very small scale in colleges. Most of the education is not focused on this. Most of the institutes don't even have infrastructure or labs on hydroponics or aeroponics or technology to teach these courses. That's one part. Now, second part, and this is coming from me being on the board of Triple IT Sonipat. See, we are much away from the world where we used to live in silos. We used to talk about agriculture as a separate domain, technology as a separate domain, something else as a separate domain. Today, the word is about agri-tech. If you are talking about advanced technologies, you have to look at agriculture and technology together, which means an agri institute like Manage has to join hands with a technology institute like Triple IT or IIT and create a course which has both the aspects. Now in UK, I'm working with an institute called Harper Adams. It's a very advanced university in control environment. They are running course for agriculture graduates, which talk about agriculture, which talk about data science. Because think of it, all these parameters, someone just asked about ORP. There are multiple such parameters. We are measuring these parameters every 10 seconds. Now think of how much data is coming from one farm. There are around millions of parameters which come every month from every farm. And if we have 20, 30, 40, 100 such farms, we have billions of parameters to work on. And anyone who understands agriculture will only understand what those parameters mean. So technology wise, education wise, I think we are way behind where we are. So as agri graduates, one thing has to happen from the government and or private players who have to come into education segment. That will be slow. We can't really help it. But as agri graduates, you need to find opportunities for internship, opportunity to train yourself, retrain yourself, learn about these things, and then move forward. We today get a lot of CVs from people who have studied outside India. I see a lot of people who go to Australia, who go to Denmark, who go to European countries, take agriculture courses, come back to India, and then they apply for us. And the things they are studying is much different than what we are studying here. So I think this is something which is a challenge which everyone has to work, and you can't just keep sitting saying when government does the change, then I will do. You have to upskill yourself. If you're not finding something here, go somewhere else, upskill yourself, and there are very good and enough jobs in the market if you are the right guy.
It's also it's all about upskilling yourself, like Rose said. So it's you can't really depend upon the education system as of now, like unless it changes over the course of period. But like most of these educational institutions, even the reputed agri institutions, like most of them are that I visited in Kerala and so, like all the spots, they don't have a hydroponics or vertical farming infrastructure to even to show the people. And even in Kerala, as well, the agri department as such doesn't have a hydroponic or a vertical farming thing to show the people who are working under the department as well. So things has to change in the future, and there should be an active collaboration between institutions, between universities, between departments, and all the stuff with private players as well in the future. Like that's the way currently everything is operating right now. And to agri graduate students, like only thing you can do right now is like upskill yourselves, try to learn all these parameters. Agri is not just about agriculture right now. It's a cross domain platform where agriculture students, agriculture graduates, mechanical engineers, electrical electronics engineers, everyone has to come into play. It was something that only the agri graduates used to do, but I personally come from a marine engineering background, and I do this agriculture thing. And it's not just isolated to agri graduates right now, and you will have to work with different domains in the future and make use of internships. Like, do go work in farms, do go work in as much smart farms, like wherever you get opportunities, and try to learn all these parameters and data techniques. Like, as agri graduates, you never would have come across all these parameter checking instruments and the PHEC, ORPs, and anything. So you'll have to get your hands on such things in future, and then only you can upskill yourself and try do internships and work. That's it. Thank you from my side.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So yeah, that's all for today. I think it's the time to conclude the session. So thank you, participants, for all your questions. Still, if you have any questions, you can contact the speakers. The speaker details are already shared in the chat box. And also, if you want to watch this webinar again, you can check the YouTube link, and the YouTube link to watch the full session is also given in the chat box. And also, if you want to update on the upcoming events and programs and exciting opportunities from the manage, be sure to follow us on our social media handles. Along with this, I have something to update, as we have launched the Managed Fisheries Incubation Center. With this Managed Fish Hub, we are opening doors to various programs from business incubation, expert mentorship to funding access. So these programs are open to wide range of participants, including fisher folks, farmers, women, rural youth, and entrepreneurs and students who are interested in the fisheries and aquaculture sector. So the details of all these programs, you can check out the website and our social media handles for the further updates. And so before concluding the session, I would like to thank both Gaurav sir and Tanvi sir for sharing your insights today. And it's really a pleasure to have you here. And also, I would like to thank our director, Dr. Sarunandra sir, for organizing this webinar. And also my thanks go to entire ManageCR team for their efforts. And finally, don't forget to share your feedback. The feedback is given in the chat box. And also, do register for the upcoming webinar. See you next week with another exciting topic. Until then, please take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Gaurav, and thank you, Tanvar. It is nice to listen to you. Both of you, all the best. Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for calling. Thanks.